Have you ever noticed books shelved differently in different bookstores? Whenever I go to a new bookstore and I have the time to look around, I like to check on where they shelve certain books. Because there are quite a few popular series, you would think it would be decided what genre they are, but based on looking around in bookstores, it's not. So there are two books that I especially like to look for. The first one is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and the other one is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. They get shelved in all kinds of places. A Court of Thorns and Roses I have found shelved in young adult, I have found it shelved in fantasy, and I have found it shelved in romance. Personally, I think it belongs in romance. A Court of Thorns and Roses does have a pretty well-defined romance plot. Book one ends in happily for now. I really think A Court of Thorns and Roses belongs in the romance section. Outlander is a little harder to classify. I do have an opinion on this one, but Outlander I have found in general fiction. I have found it in historical fiction. I have found it in romance, and I have found it in fantasy. I think it's genre fiction. I don't think it's general fiction. I can understand the argument for putting it in historical fiction. There are a lot of historical fiction elements in it. There are also a lot of romantic elements. There's several love stories in it. My problem with classifying it as historical fiction is that it has supernatural elements, and that is generally seen as a disqualifier. My problem with classifying it as a romance is that it doesn't follow a romance plot. I think where Outlander belongs, though, is fantasy. I think Outlander fits into the subgenre of low fantasy. When it comes to interpreting a work or classifying a work, the author's intent is supposed to have limited weight, right? But Diana Gabaldon has talked about this. Traditionally, in the fantasy genre, the fate of the world is what's at stake. So if you think about A Song of Ice and Fire, it's the survival of humanity. If you think about The Wheel of Time, it's the fabric of reality. If you think about Lord of the Rings, it's the freedom of Middle-earth. It's pretty traditional in fantasy for the world to be at stake. But what Diana Gabaldon was trying to do with Outlander, and I think she did well, the world isn't going to end. It's about being with the people you love, saving the people you love. And the definition of low fantasy is that you have an otherwise normal world that is encroached upon by supernatural elements. And so what we have is normal people from these historical time periods who are encroached upon by this supernatural element, which is time travel. So anyway, that's a small little thing I think about sometimes, I like to do. Let me know if there's any other books I should look for, books that are shelved differently in different bookstores. I'd love to have others to look for.